Hello YouTube, how you guys doing today? Today we are getting into the book Magnificent Mind at Any Age by Daniel G. Amen. Natural ways to unleash your brain's maximum potential. So that's what we're getting into. So there's 3 layers of every book that I go into. First we talk about the core concept, the fundamental idea of the book. Then we talk about the theory, which supports and builds upon that core concept. And finally, we talk about 3 action steps that you can take to make it happen. So the first concept, the core concept of this book is the idea that your brain influences your mind. The brain connects to the mind. So that's the most fundamental idea of this book. So let me explain the difference between a brain and your mind. The brain is the neurophysiological substructure of the mind. It's the material side of the immaterial mind, right? If you're into spirituality or consciousness, it's the you. It's the subjective self that makes you who you are. So what Daniel J. Amen has found through thousands of brain scans is that if you have an unhealthy brain, you have an unhealthy mind. The brain, the neurochemical balance of your brain determines the quality of your mind. So that is our core concept. I'll put a star there. All right, next we're getting into the theory. So let's just talk about behavior, right? Most people, when they misbehave, if they've done something wrong, if they've done something bad, if they've cheated on a test, most people say, oh, that's a moral fault that they exhibit. That's their problem, their responsibility, their fault. While that is true to a certain degree, our behavior is shaped by our brain. Our brain. So our behavior is shaped by our brain. So what Daniel found in many studies and in many scenarios is that he was able to erase bad behavior, like people who lied, cheated, were angry, depressed, unhappy, anxious, insomnia, all of these things. By treating their brain, he was able to effectively change their lives, ameliorate these terrible issues, make depression go away. If someone told you, you can naturally find a way to make depression go away by instilling certain habits in yourself. So habits, that's the first action step. So let's go into actions. So there are 3 action steps that I want you to take. Habits, focusing on your pleasure centers, and eating a healthy diet, and I put that under fish oil. So there are many things that can cause a bad brain. Let me read them out to you. Brain injury, excessive alcohol, drug abuse, negative thinking. So that's the mind affecting the brain, right? The brain affects the mind, but if you think negatively, that's the mind affecting the brain. A poor diet, environmental toxins, chronic stress, lack of sleep, smoking, excessive caffeine, too much TV or video games, lack of exercise. So those are the bad habits that you want to destroy, that you want to get rid of in your life. And there are, the positive side to that is how can you create a healthy brain to get rid of all these chronic issues like addiction and stuff like that. 1, make positive social connections. 2, engage in new learning. 3, maintain a healthy diet. 4, take a multivitamin. 5, take a fish oil supplement. 6, learn a musical instrument. 7, exercise regularly. Dance. Engage in positive thinking. Express gratitude and meditate. So those are the basic ideas that, the basic habits that he wants us to embody in a magnificent mind. And there are so many stories that show that things like our pleasure centers, doing pleasurable activities, has an effect on our brain, but also our brain has an effect on our ability to do pleasurable activities, right? So it's a catch-22, right? Because when you're in a negative mind space, you're like, oh, I just want to eat junk food and lay on my bed and watch TV. And that just drives you into a deeper depression, which then causes a more depressed mind, which causes a more depressed brain, which causes a more depressed mind. So, and that's the same on the positive side. There are positive feedback loops that allow you to get healthier, which makes you want to do healthy things, which makes you healthier. So that's the basic principles behind Magnificent Mind. Pleasure centers. So do pleasurable activities. Do pleasurable activities. Like whatever you enjoy. You want to keep your pleasure centers healthy. And that is related to dopamine. That's related to dopamine and all kinds of other parts of the brain. So there's that. And then there's also fish oil. Fish oil is so important because it has omega-3s in it. And omega-3s are the myelination for the axon terminals in your brain. So that's a fancy way of saying it insulates your brain from stress, worry, the negative things like cortisol. So all of that stuff, myelination, helps solve that problem. So, yep, that's the basic idea behind Magnificent Mind. Your brain influences your consciousness or your mind. The physical influences the non-physical. So make sure the brain is healthy and balanced. The theory is our behavior influences the brain and the brain influences our behavior. It's a positive feedback loop for good habits and for bad habits. I just went through all the habits that you can do. I think the most important two are do pleasurable activities, enjoy life in a healthy way, and also get some fish oil in your diet because that is essential. And do some mental exercise. There's a 4 in there too. So, yep, that's the basics of Magnificent Mind. I hope you enjoyed the talk. If you're into it, please like, share, and subscribe. Have a good one, guys.